Okay, good morning. So we're going to start a continuation of last year's Torah Mayim Rabbim, which we finished till we started the Mayim Rabbim, which is recorded on, those who want to learn it, it's already recorded on the site. So that's from page 16 to page 18 in Torah of the Alter Rebbe. Today we're going to begin the continuation of Bir Al Anal, which this is an explanation on the Maimer of Mayim Rabbim. This is also printed in Likutei Torah on Daf Nun Hey with the Hagoyis. This Maimer that's in front of us is the Hanochos of the Mittel Rebbe. Okay, so let's begin. Alter Rebbe says, Lihavin ha'inyan shetfilas habal esek yeh b'madriga gavoya. In order to understand the idea of the tefillah of the one who works, the Bal Esek, should be on a high level. So Lihavin in Yedidus HaNeshama, we have to understand the purpose of why the Neshama comes down into this world. She nitzitz elikus, which we know the Neshama is a spark of godliness. Boilam hazeh beguf v'nefesh habahamis. And where does the Neshama descend? It goes into Elam hazeh, in a body, and it has to enclose in the nefesh habahamis. The started tabim and it has to be worried with constant thoughts and daigas of parnasa in this world. And this is a great descent. Now, once the neshama comes down to this world and it encloses itself in the nefesh habahamis, it can come to the highest level of ava, which is b'chol meidecha. As the Gemara says, this is brought down in Shloimy. In other places it says that in regards to the pasuk that says Toiv, so he says Toiv is a malach chaim. When it says Toiv, that refers to the malach of life. Me'oid, when it says the word Toiv me'oid, me'oid is going zem malach hamavis. This goes on the malach hamavis. Now, in order to get, the only way to get the level of B'chol Meidecha, this is dafka through the Nefesh HaBahamis, dafka through the Malach HaMavis. Otherwise, you'll never get to the highest level of Abba. Now, like we see down over here, that the koyach of a behema is stronger than a person. So, the Gemara says in Parshas that in a place that Bal Tshuva stands, Tzadikim Chuli, as the end of the sentence says, Gemurim en yichil mamid. Why? Because the level of the Bal Tshuva is much higher. Because the Bal Tshuva is like the animal. So once you tap into the animal properly, it could attain levels that the Tzadik can't even attain. He says, why? Because the Nefesh HaBahamis comes from the level of Tayu. Right? We have Tayu and Tikkun. So Tayu is a much higher level than Tikkun. And like the Pasuk says in Vayishlach, it says about the different Malachim. Go. It says about the Esau's family. So it says, the Torah says these are the kings that ruled, and it says they died, then they ruled again, they died. What does that mean, Baruchnius? It's going on the level of Tayu. 18. And the level of Tayu is higher than Tikkun. Like it says, Asher molchu lifnei melech, Asher molchu lifnei melech melech l'bnei Yisrael. Like it says, then they ruled before the king of Bnei Yisrael. So what does that mean? That the level of Tayu is higher than the Bnei Yisrael, which is the level of Tikkun. Okay, we're holding now. The line starts with Kamei Shekasov, the last word on the line of Lihavin. Got it? Okay. Now, Lihavin calls that to understand all of this. What does this mean? Rabbi b'medrash, it says in the medrash that in the beginning the Eibishter wanted to create the world, right? Rashi brings down with midas hadin. So what happened? He saw the world is not going to be able to handle just midas hadin. So shita midas harachmim the Medrash says, and Rashi brings down, he combined the midah of rachamim as well. Now, ve'ein hapirush k'may shaha'olam sevrim shemidas hadin hu b'chinas tzimtzum u'minias hashpan. Now, the Alter Rebbe says he wants to negate the notion of people that think that what is midas hadin? You think, oh, midas hadin is this contraction, and you're holding back hashpa. Because the level of gvura is one of the emotions, one of the midas of Hashem. Like it says in Divrei Hayamim, L'cha Hashem hagdula v'hagvura. To you Hashem is greatness and gvura, which are Shehem Eser Sviris, Datzilus, Hamachayim, Umahavim, Ma'ayin Liyesh. Which they are the fact is that gvura is one of the 10 spheres of Atzilus, which create Ayin Liyesh. So that's number one. Number two, Hiniksiv. The pasuk says in Dvarim, Ki Hadam Hu HaNefesh, that the blood is the nefesh. Good morning. She'ikar Chayis HaAdam Hu Adam, that the main Chayis of the person is the blood. Now, the main Chayis of the person is, the main vitality of the person is Dam. The Dam Nimshach Mebchinas Gvura. And where does blood come from? It comes from the level of Gvura, which is Midas Hadin. So, Midas Hadin doesn't mean that you have a tzimtzum, you have less hashba. Why? Because Midas Hadin is one of the, it comes from Gvura, which is one of the Midas of Hashem. And if it's one of the Midas of Hashem, obviously Midas of Hashem is Bahashpa. So what does Midas Hadin mean? So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe says, Ella Apirush Midas Hadin Hu B'chinas Gvura. So the level of Midas Hadin, this is the level of Gvura, which is Lashon Tigbeirus, which is like powerful. Shekoyach HaChayus Me'erin Seif Ba B'hiskabrus Yesir Mebchinas HaChesed. So the chayis of Arin Seif comes very strong, greater, more than the chesed, which comes from the mata mata. But it comes very cold. So the koyach of Ein Seif, which comes bihis gabrus, is greater than chesed, but it's krius. Now, when you have gvura, so you have the vitality of Ein Seif, which comes very strong. So since it's coming with full force, it's coming very strong. So automatically, when it comes down into this world, it comes very, very intense. Now, so whoever cannot accept this hashpah can't accept it. Why? So what the Alter Rebbe is saying is that when we say midas hadin, it doesn't mean tzimtzum. It doesn't mean that there's less hashpah. It's that the hashpah is coming very, very strong. And if you can't accept it, you can't accept it. Which most people can't accept it. And the Eibusher saw that. So what did he do? He put in midas hachesed. Now, that's what he says. However, the level of chesed, which the chayis comes, it's very cold. So but the ma'ila is it could come down into this world. It's able to last. However, the level of chayis of gvura is the level of is chayis bis gabras, which is the level of zayin malachim. This comes from the level of tayu. That's why in Kabbalah, when we call the name of Tayu, we call the name of kings. Why? Because, and so he's going to explain it further. So basically what we said till now, just to recap, is Alter Rebbe is saying to understand the inyan of Tfilas of Bal Esek, how it's supposed to be on a high level, like the Alter Rebbe explained in the previous Maimer. So we have to understand the inyan of the Yirida Neshama, which is an itzitz alikus that comes down to this world, which is a very big Yerida. So obviously, if it's coming down, it's for a purpose, to make an aliyah, which this is to get to the level of b'chol meidecha. This is dafka through the nefesh of Bahamas. And then the Alter Rebbe started explaining that this is the level of tayu, which is higher than tikkun. And to understand this, we have to first explain what does it mean B'tchila Ola b'machshava libra elam midas hadin rosh and elam miskayim so shita midas arachim. Now, when we say that the Eibishter made midas hadin or wanted to create the world with midas hadin, it doesn't mean less hashpa. Rather, it means he's gabrus hachayis, that the chayis is coming down very, very strong. But you can't handle it because it's too intense, it's too fierce. So what does the Eibishter do? The Eibishter is mishatif, the sfira of chesed, which is kridos, it's cold, but then at the end of the day you're able to accept it. Okay? That's what we explained till now. Now, Valpi Kabbalah Mavur, the Rebbe explains Valpi Kabbalah Mavur, and based on Kabbalah it's explained, Shepchinas Hatayu Huri B'Ha'or Umiyat Kelim. The level of Tayu is a lot of a lot of light, but it's Miyat Kelim. It doesn't have a lot of Kelim. That's why the Rebbe said, the Rebbe used to tell us many times, is Alzayin Oiris the Tayu, but Kelim the Tikkun. A lot of times people have, great, we're going to take over the world, but it has to be in Tikkun. So in Kabbalah it says that Tayu is level Riba or Miyat Kelim. Now, Upchinas Tikkun hu b'hipuch. Tikkun is the opposite of Tayu. Now, what does that mean? Pirish, Riba a lot of Sha'or v'achayis ba b'izgabros, that the and the chayis comes very strong. B'izgabros urav. He called out Yitzviras hayu b'izgabros urav, because all Yitzviras is very strong. M'chinas chesed hayu midas hachesed b'izgabros urav. The level of chesed is the level of chesed very strong. V'chein kol Yitzviras, all 8 Yitzviras work this way. V'gam l'chein lehayu hiskalus hamidas liyis kol chesed gvura. That's why you could not have in Tayu, because everyone, what's Tayu? Tayu is everyone is very strong personality, but you can't work together. Right? Chesed is chesed. Gvura is gvura. Everybody is very talented, but there's not a team. Everyone is shooting on their own. Everybody's lone soldiers. Because there's no bittul there. There's just eris. There's no kelim. Again, Valpiak about Moshe, Pchinas Atayu, who Riba Erimit Kelim, Pchinas Tiknu Bepach now. Pirish Riba Ersha, Erva Chais Bob is Garbasav, Ki Kola Yusfir Say is Garbasav, Kumoi Chesed, Hayamidas Chesed is Garbasav, Vachin Kola Yusfirs, Vagam Lachin, His Galzamidas Lias Kola Chesed Gurn, Wine Pnish Kop, Pchinas Midas Hayabekech is Garbasav, Lachin, Hayachal is Gal, Im Hifuchay, Vahaya Kol Midah Fneatzmai. So everyone is by themselves. Why? Because everyone is two strong personalities, they can't have these galus. Now, this is what it means. This is what it means that the Eibishter saw that the world can't last. What does that mean? You can't have tikkun in the world. You can't have tikkun ilam. So in order to have that the world should last, that the midas should work together, you have to have the level of tikkun. Hainu, pchinas kaven. Which these are the levels of the different sectors. Izgalos midas zeh b'zeh, you have to have the emotions be combined one to another. And this is the idea of having a lot of vessels, a lot of kelim, but the air is very, very small. What does that mean? The air in the chayis doesn't come strong. It comes very kind. The kriyus like coldness. So dafka through this midah, then you can have a combination of chesed and gvura. Shnei havchim, 2 opposites. Like it says in Pirkei Avos, in Perek over there, it says that there's 10 generations from Noach to Avram. Why? To tell us how patient the Eibishter was. That all the generations upset Hashem until Avram Avinu came. Since the midah did not come b'skabrus, nimshach liyas erech hapayim savlonis. Since the midah doesn't come with this level of vura, so you can have the level of erech hapayim and patient. That's how it took 10 generations for the Eibishter Kavyochel to wipe them out, is because it was all from the level of chesed, which has erech hapayim and savlonis. Now, ba'adarabah, and on the contrary, the Alter Rebbe says, it's possible to have these two opposites together. Now, the Alter Rebbe says, the Beis Hamikdash Simcha was so great. Shloimy, like Shloimy says, he says, Shir Hashirim, Shlehoisim Yem Brias Ha'olam. We know the Beis Hamikdash in the times of, especially in the times of Shloimy HaMelech, there was the greatest Simcha and the greatest joy ever. When Shekosah, like it says in Malachim, Ki Molei Chved Hashem, as Beis Hashem, that the glory of Hashem filled the Beis Hamikdash. Sheboha Eish Mil Maila, that the fire came in Maila. Hainu B'chinas Gila Ashchina Lamata, that the revelation of the Shechina came down over here. Nimsa, Shahoya Simcha Rab Ma'id. So the Simcha was very great. Now, and the Yirmiyah says, in regards to this, about the Beis Hamikdash, what does the Eibusher say? Ki al api, on my anger, val chamasi, on my anger. Now, what does it mean? The pasuk says, Ki al api, val chamasi, hoysali ir azois, min hayom asher banu esa. The Eibusher says about Yerushalayim, my anger and I'm fierce on the city from the day I built it. What does that mean? Mashalokach bas pari, which you took bas pari. That's what it says in Malachim. It says that kalapi v'alchamosi hoysaliya yerazis miniyam sherbano isim mashalokach bas pari. What does that mean? Nimtza shahayu beis hafkim yachad beis v'zman yachad. You can have both opposites, both extremes. On the one hand, you had the greatest joy. On the other hand, what is the Eibusher kalapi v'alchamosi? How is that possible? Is through Midas HaRachamim. Through Tikkun you can have both Midas together. Since you don't have that Midah of Gvura so strong, in Cain, so therefore you can have both powers together. Okay. Now he says, "V'hinei nishma sa'adam hu mibchinas atzilus." The neshama of a person is from the level of atzilus, which is oilam hatikun, from the level of tikun. V'lachein haneshama klula mikol hamidus, and that's why the neshama is koilul from all the midas. Kamuvur betanya, as the Alter Rebbe says, like I explained in Tanya, we're in Parag Gimel. Over there, the neshama is comprised. The neshama comes from atzilus, but it's kolol also from all the midas. However, when it comes to the malachim, so they don't have that. The malachim are shorshim the shirish of the malachim are from teil, which is machne michal, machne gavriel. They're a different breed. Machne michal hu rak b'chinas ava. These gabras made. So machne michal is only the level of Ava. He doesn't have anything else. The neshama from Atzilus, so he's koil everything. He can handle everything. He has a part of all the midas. However, Malachim, Mechol, he's only Ava. Machna Gavriel, who rak k'nes yirbi is Gavras Rav. Machna Gavriel is only his Gavras. Sar Shomayim, Sar Shalish, he's the minister of water, he's the minister of fire. Umizen Nimshach, P'chines Markova. And then you can have the level of Markova, which is Pnei Arya, Lemin, Pnei Shed, as the whole story in Yecheskel over there. Now, V'hinei, B'neshama Sa'adam, Razal, the Gemara neither says, in regards to the neshama of the person, Gimel Shutafim Ba'adam, there are three partners in a person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of course, it's the parents and the Eibusher. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Neisim B'neshama, and the Gemara says the Eibusher is the one who gives the child the neshama, V'chayis Nefesh Bahamas V'Efes, and he gives the chayis for the behemoths and the Efes. Sorry, the chayis v'nefesh Bahamas v'Efes in P'chines Pnei Aryeh, and the chayis and the nefesh Bahamas are from the level of Pnei Aryeh, Pnei Sher, u'mikeidam, and over there is Me'elim HaTayil. Well, Zen Nemar LaAdam, this is what David HaMelech writes in Tehillim. He writes, Ochor v'kodam tzarantani. The back and the front tzarantani I formed them. Since the level of tikkun is b'yishtalshlos comes with a seder and its order, so a person is the highest level. That the level of the behemoths they come down very low. Animals higher than a person. melech kaneda. That's why one of the explanations of Pichsid is, how's an animal, we eat basar, or vegetables, how is it able to sustain us if we're higher? So Chassidus explains is because b'makar, really they are higher. Now, v'ila zeis, the Alter Rebbe says, ha'ava ba mitzad nefesh ha'bahamis hu l'mayla mayla. So the ava that comes when the neshama works with the nefesh ha'bahamis is higher and higher the level of b'chomei decha, shelamayla ma'akli, which is higher than the kli, meishahu b'chila yatir, because it's the level of b'chila yatir, shebabis gav v'srav, it comes very, very high. Shesheish nefesh ha'bahamis u'pchinas ha'teu kanal, as we explained, that the sheish of the nefesh ha'bahamis comes from the level of teu, akshen nafla b'shviras hakelim l'matam matam ma'ed, but just because of shviras hakelim, it descended very down over here. When it came out down to this world, in the Gashmistic world, so now it becomes like separated. Aval, however, when a person is mavad in its tzeitzis by davening, then he and we're repeating itself, but Alter Rebbe is stressing this idea of when we tap into the nefesh ha'bahamis, then we're able to get to the level of b'chol meidecha. Kamayim Razal, as it says, v'hai d'lo yamina lach b'urto, and the reason why I didn't say this at night, the ochla bisra de Torah, there the Gemara says, and Alter Rebbe brings us down in Tanya, this is a Gemara in Bava Kama. The Gemara says, and this, that I didn't say this that evening, is because I did not eat bisra de Torah, the basar of an ox. Nimtza, shemaychel habasar, neisen keach, v'teiseves meichem b'adam. So what comes out? That the food of a person, the food of meat is able to add addition in the brain of a person. Like David Melech writes, "V'yayin yisamach levav enish." That how could the wine of make a person happy? Because food b'sherish is higher than a person. However, down over here, the fact is that a person's higher. The higher, which are from the level of Teo. And Kabbalah says this is like, it says in Kehelis, Ki Yisin Ha'er Abam Cheshech. He says, V'hainu. So Alter Rebbe says like this. Through contemplating by davening, a person is preoccupied all day, and he's constantly chasing the dollar. Which we know, bread and food. Their chayis comes from the constellations, as it says, you don't have a blade of grass down over here, it doesn't have a blade of grass over there saying, hit it. And the mazalis come from the level of ayin sadim. And where do the ministers come from? They get their levels from Mishmar Yefanim. They get from Malchus. It says, Malchus Choleilamim. However, when it comes to Atzmos, it's only a ziv. Rabbi Akiva, and this is what Rabbi Akiva says, the end of Makis over there, right? Remember the famous story of the Tanaim, they're walking and they see the Yerushalayim being destroyed. So they're all crying. Rabbi Akiva says, "Why are you laughing?" He says, "Why are you crying?" He says, "What do you mean? You're not allowed to go into Kodesh HaKadoshim and you see a fox, shu'olam holchu bay." So Rabbi Akiva says, "Im lo kach." If the Eibusher is giving this, one of the things he said two things, but he said, if the Eibusher is giving this to the people that are over the Ratzin, how much more so is the Eibusher going to give schar to the people who do what he wants? Shesham hu ataynik adin kates. Over there, there's unlimited tainik. Like it says in Tehillim, Hoidu al Eretz v'Shamayim. Shebchinas Eretz v'Shamayim emali b'Seviv. The level of Eretz and Shamayim, which is the level of Seviv, imrak b'chinas Hoid v'Ziv. It's only the level of Hoid and Ziv. It's a splay. It's a render. It's not the essence. However, what do we say? Hoidu al Eretz v'Shamayim. Vayaron kan le'amai. Right? Then we say Livnei Yisrael am Karevei. So if dafka from there, then the nefesh becomes bisgabas, pchila yatir, with shuka v'chafitza l'dafka beispark. Like it says, mila v'shamayim, like he says in Tilim, and imchalei chavasti. Who's in the heaven that doesn't want me? Okay, we're holding now the third to last line, V'zo Baruch Ato. Page 18, V'zo Baruch Ato. So the Rebbe says, V'zo Baruch Ato. Right, this is what we say in the brachas. Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvos. What does that literally mean? Who sanctified us with mitzvahs. Now, so the Rebbe explains, Shema shenimshach v'nimshach lamata liyis memale b'seviv hu b'chinas melech haolam. Now, this that it's nimshach in the level of memale and seviv, that's from the level of melech haolam u'malchusa b'kol mashallah. Aval ava v'tshuka nishmas Yisrael dafka be'yisparech v'mahusa b'atzmusei. So, from the level of the hashpah that comes down to either to be Malay Seviv, that comes from the level of Melech HaElam. But the Av and the Chukah, the Neshama Yisrael, that comes from the level of Atzmus. Now, so that's Baruch Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Asher Kiddushanu, what does it mean Asher Kiddushanu? Asher hu b'chinas Tainug ha'elyed adin kates. The level of Asher comes from the level is going on the level of the high Tainug, which is unlimited. Lashon ba'ashri. This is like a lashon of like praising. Why? Because you have so much tainuk. Kiddushanu b'mitzvahs. So what does it mean? He sanctifies you, or you sanctified us with the mitzvahs. Sha'idei mitzvahs hem mamshichim me'einig ha'elyon. Through mitzvahs, you're being mamshich from einig ha'elyon. Kamei talis like talis. Zeu, and this is what it means in Yeshaya. The Haftarah, he says over there, Kimei Noach. Sorry, it's the Haftarah of Parshas Noach. He says there, the Haftarah says, and we read, V'zo Kimei Noach Zeisli. What does it mean? The waters of Noach Zeisli. Ki Shibud HaParnasa canal, this Shibud HaParnasa, that we were speaking about in the first Maimer. Hu Pchinas Mei Noach Kamei Shayu B'Mabel. This is the level of Mei Noach that was in the Mabel. Not, the Eibishter had many ways he could have destroyed the world. Why dafka did he bring water? Why dafka mabel? So he says, the Alter Rebbe says that it's not just to destroy the Rishoyim. He could have destroyed everybody in 1 second. Like it says by Parei Vati Chochet. Right, the pasuk says in Va'ir over there, Ki ata shalachti es yodi ves oischa ves amcha v'daber Vati Chochet min haaretz. Rak. So what was the purpose of the Mabel? Was in order to purify the world. In the beginning, the world was created, was full with chamas, as we're going to learn in the Parsha. Let me just mention there, we're starting now, Baruch Hashem, a new shir. Probably most can't come at 9 o'clock, but at least for Sundays, we're going to have a live shir. It's not going to only be Chumash and Rashi. I'll try to include different Perushim, nice. To include the Farshei HaChumash and some Vert Lacha the Rebbe, some Sichas the Rebbe. Try to include that in like 15-20 minutes. So we're going to start that in Mitzvah. And we started already, but we're going to start it live today at 8:45. I encourage everybody to come. One second. Let me. I didn't finish it. Sorry. Okay, let me just finish this word. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to finish this year. Now, Rak HaMabel. So, what was the purpose of the Mabel? Was Latayr Se'elam. Now, Kibetchil about the Malay Aros Chamas. Sheim Shichu Klipis. Right, there was Klipis. Shalazeho Yisrael Latayr Elam Al Pchinas Mayim HaMataharim. So Hashem had to bring water in order to be Matayr the world. Hu Pchinas Geshem, and this is the level. What does the Torah say? Vayiyah Geshem Al Aretz Arboim Yom V'Arboim Laila. Gvuras Kshamim. This is the level of the gvura of rain, right? Like the Gemara says in Tainus, why is rain is called gvuras kshamim? Why? Because rain comes strong, which is the level of tayo. So when rain comes down normally, that's the level of chesed. It fills up it vegetates, it waters plants and seeds. However, the Mabel came very strong. Came very strong. Came from the level of Teo, Chesed the Teo, which is the level of Chesed the Teo, the Tyra Aretz. It came from the level of what we said, came from Teo, but Chesed of Teo, which is the Tyra Aretz, to purify the land. Rak, well, it said it was so strong, and that's why it eradicated everything that was out there. Why? The Eibishter wanted to bring Ashba. See the way the Chassidus looks at it? The Eibishter brought water, and the Eibishter wanted to be Matayr the world. What happened? The Vel couldn't handle it. This is what it means, that the water covered, and it was 15 amas higher than the highest mountain. Pirish Harim, Upchinas Tikun. Harim refers to the level of Tikun Iskalas Amidis, that the Midis are combining. Kavram Shekaru Har. Atidus and Machshavas Elam Azam, Nefesh Bahamas, Him Gamkim Mchinas Elam Ato, and the Tirdus and Machshavas we have for making a living that come from Nefesh Bahamas comes from the level of Teo, and they cry in Meinech, and they're called